Hey guys, today's video was kind of inspired by Thrifty Beauty's video about the pop effect. I saw this video and it was posted in the Fear Next Facebook group, and I thought that it had some really interesting ideas, particularly about palettes that have the pop of color and how that kind of draws us in. I know that this kind of suckers me sometimes. I look at a palette and I see those pops of color and I go, oh, that's so interesting. But then when you really look at the rest of the palette, it's super boring and it's all the same. So I kind of wanted to go through some palettes with you and kind of demonstrate to you how those pops of color are there, but then the rest of the palette is just super boring, and how certain companies are repeat offenders of this. I'm just going to scooch to the side a little bit so that I can show pictures over here. So Thrifty Beauty already talked about a few companies like Morphe, which I don't really talk about Morphe on my channel because I have feelings. I don't really want to get into that. And what was another company that she discussed? But anyway, I'm just going to talk about some companies that she didn't really talk about in hers. Too Faced, that was the other company she talked about. Okay, so I have a couple of palettes here from Zoeva. Here is palette number one. I don't have any of these named. I'm terrible. So I'm just gonna put the palette names up on the screen. Look at this beautiful pop of color down in the lower left corner. That's a beautiful color, right? But look at all the colors around it that are so muddy. If you just like cover up that one corner, it's all the same muddy brown, green, bleh. You know what I mean? But your eye is immediately drawn to that blue that you're like, oh, that's so pretty. And the next palette also from, oh wait. I'm sorry, that was a Sigma palette. The next palette is also from Sigma. Of course, I would totally get suckered in by this because it has 3 purple shades. You know how much I love purple. But then the top row is it's all beige. And then bottom row is like murky brown again, so. But immediately my eye goes to the purple and I'm thinking, oh, it's a purple palette. No, it's not. Oh, don't you hate that? Your eye gets drawn to the pretty colors and then everything else is just so mundane. Some of these colors are basically interchangeable too. They're that similar. That's horrible. Now we're on to the Zoeva palettes. There we go. This is the Retro Future palette. This has some interesting colors. It does. But it's got like I definitely really like some of the colors here. I like the blue and the purple. Although I'm not a blue person. This is the thing. I'm like, oh, that's so cool, but I don't like a lot of blue on me personally. So, but I'm still drawn to it because I'm like, oh, there's color there. Yeah, that's the shade Electric Youth, and then Cosmic Chic. Silver Disc is, to me, not even that. It doesn't even look that silvery to me. I'm not even sure what that looks like. But it doesn't look that silvery. It's very desaturated and kind of ugh. Super Vibe, I think, is supposed to be kind of almost like a lime green shimmer. But again, it's very, very desaturated. New Age is kind of an orangey gold, but so many of these are like desaturated colors that, again, I think the only two that I would be interested in is the blue and the purple, and everything else is just kind of meh. So what's the point, right? The next Zoeva palette is the Offline eyeshadow palette, and the bottom row is not that bad. The bottom row is not that bad, but the thing is, how many of these colors do I already have, right? So I'm drawn into the purple again. There's the turquoise right next to that, which is pretty. But again, I don't wear a lot of turquoise. It's pretty, but I don't wear a lot. The two other shades on the bottom are, well, the other three shades really are from the Modern Renaissance palette, which I own. I don't need those. And then the top row is very similar. Like, I don't need any of that. So it's really only the bottom row that I like, and three of those shades I already have. But again, you're drawn into the colors. Even cover up the bottom row and look at the top row only. Three of those shades are pretty much exactly the same. Why do you need all three of them? Why are brands doing this? Another Zoeva palette. This is the Matte Spectrum palette, and this is horrible. This really is. I think that people who really love green are going to go right down to the bottom row of this and go, yes, yes, I love that. But the rest of it is orange and brown. So again, you've got a neutral palette with a couple shades of green. And so if all you want is the green, you're gonna waste like 3/4 of the palette. So it's just, oh, who needs that much orange and brown? And you probably already have those colors. That's the thing. These colors are so popular these days that all of us who wear eyeshadow, we already have those. Unless you don't like those colors, in which case you don't have them and you don't need this. But your eye, it automatically goes to whatever color is different from the rest. Oh, we're still on Zoeva apparently. Okay. This is the Aristo eyeshadow palette. This has one teal and one green that jump out at me. That's Mother's House and Prehistory. And it's got a lot of like the beiges and browns again. So Zoeva is really good at tricking you into one or two, possibly three colors that are actually in there, and then the rest is all brown neutral. So they're really good at that. You know what brand I had to get in here was Kylie. Kylie is terrible at this. This is actually one of her holiday palettes. She had two. I think this is the Nice palette. I really don't have much nice to say about this. It looks like she was trying to go for an Anastasia Beverly Hills sort of layout and just missed the mark, because this looks not great. I like the shade Gumdrop. I'll give her that. That looks really pretty. Slay is really pretty. And everything else is just, I mean, so you've got Ginger Snap and Santa Baby. Oh man. One is just slightly warmer than the other. Just slightly. Hot Cider and Wonderland, one is just slightly more purple than the other. Just slightly. This is basically just a neutral palette that has a couple of shimmers again. It's got a couple of shades that I recognize from Modern Renaissance. Again, it looks like maybe it was trying to go towards, what was the most recent Anastasia palette? I suck. Prism palette, that was it. Yeah, it looks a little bit like it's trying to go towards the Prism palette there, but you know, it's not quite as exciting as that. And then this is the Kylie Peach palette. This is way worse because it has a blue, very pale purple. It's got two peaches that are basically the same, like the one next to the purple and the one next to the blue. And then the two at the very end, which are basically the same. It's got two browns that are basically the same. It's got a lot of shade duplicates in here. The only thing that that I look at is uh, immediately the blue, because that's so different from everything else. I do like the pale purple. I, I would only need one peach out of this whole thing. Uh, Everything else is, you don't need that many of the same shades in one palette, Kylie. And apparently this smells a lot like chemicals, not sure why. But that's always good to know, that your palette smells like chemicals. Now we're getting into Colourpop. This is the She palette. And again, we're going to have a lot of shades here that are exactly the same as each other. That whole top row, basically. I like the red and the purple. Like, some of these shimmery shades are nice, it's just that why do you need so many of them that look the same? This is a very poorly designed palette. I actually legitimately do not understand this palette at all. But I'm immediately drawn to a couple of the shades on the bottom row and I go, oh, that's pretty. But it's a waste of space for me personally. It's I don't need that many shimmers that look all the same. This is the Colourpop Yes Please palette. I only need one peach and one yellow. The yellow is the one that draws me in again because it's boom right there. And again, I only need one peach. I don't need that many peaches that look the same. I don't need two cream colors that look the same. I already have a few browns that look like that. I don't understand why brands are doing this, why brands are putting so many shade duplicates in one palette. This is the Colourpop Dream Street palette. This was a collab with Kathleen Lights, who, again, I don't support. When I first saw this palette, I actually thought it was really pretty. The reason being, I like the combination of peach and turquoise together. I think that's a really lovely combination. But everything else around that is beige and brown. You take away the turquoise and the peach and you've got nothing. In my opinion, you've got nothing. If I wanted turquoise and peach, I could buy turquoise and peach. I probably have turquoise and peach. So I think a lot of people would probably buy that because they are Kathleen Lights fans, which is fine. But is it anything special? No, probably not. And this is Beauty Bakeries palette. Do It for the Gram, I think it's called. This is actually, I'm actually really disappointed in this. I thought that they would go more of a Juvia's Place route because Juvia's Place is usually really bright and colorful, and this is another black-owned business brand. And I thought that they would have more bright colors to this palette. The brightest color in here is actually the gold and the red. They do have a blue and a green. They have two blues and a green technically, but they're not that bright, which is disappointing. And this is supposed to be about Instagram makeup, which is usually really bright, bold, and colorful. So I don't understand why all of these colors are so drab. But if you're anything like me, your eye is going to go straight to that gold and go, oh, that's really unique. But I have a really bright yellow gold like that. It's in my Kat Von D palette. And it is a really beautiful, stunning yellow gold. But there's a lot of brown in here again. And the colors that they could have made really bright, they didn't. Which is disappointing. This is the newest palette release in here. This is the Kristen Dominique palette. I was fooled by this too, actually. I looked at it. I'm not a huge follower of Kristen Dominique. I don't think I've ever watched one of her videos. But I looked at this palette and I went, oh, that's really pretty. But I realized I was just looking at the turquoise and the purple. The three shades next to it are basically the same. And then the top row is all neutral brown, which again, I have neutral brown. I don't need neutral brown. And I went, oh, you got me. And again, this is what companies do. They put a couple of really bright colors in there, and think that they've suckered you in, but have they? Hopefully not. I don't know what quality this palette is going to be or anything, but yeah. And another one that really got me, I actually almost bought this palette, was the Huda Beauty Desert Dusk palette because of the middle row. The middle row has a lot of beautiful purples and duochromes. Twilight in particular got me going like, I want that. This is a very expensive palette, and you do not need to buy it for one shade or one row, when the rest of it you don't need and don't want. The top row again is all brown, and the bottom row is all red and orange brown. It's only the middle row where I'm interested. And yeah, I talked myself out of that one real fast. Real fast. Oh, we're done. So I hope this was a little bit enjoyable for you guys. What palettes are out there that you were drawn to because of certain colors? And did you talk yourself out of them, or did you buy them? And if you bought them, were you disappointed that you didn't use all the colors, or have you used all the colors? I would just be interested to know. Anyway, that's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!